Hey, good afternoon, team. Oh, I put this up at 12:57 saying, hey, what are we going to talk about today? Undecided at 12:57. Well, here we go. It's now 1:01. I'm about to go live, and we're all going to find out what in the world are we talking about here today. Get back to StreamYard. Hey, happy birthday to 12 people today on Facebook. Number of folks on LinkedIn. Also, happy birthday to you. TikTok, too. Also, another one. Happy birthday, folks. Happy birthday. All right, let's go. Let's get the hair combed. Yeah, right. Not comb day for the hair. We got nobody on yet. That's all good. We're good there. Audience is still audience. We're good. Public done. Back to StreamYard. Here we go. Audience is now me. That's good. I should listen to myself. Here we go. The end of the rock music. The beginning. Bam! It's time. Pause the music. There we go. Remove that. We're in. We're here. You see it. I'm here. And we're working through what we're talking about here today. Perhaps the topic for this week, for today, is who are you talking for? I find there are many situations where we share opinions, share thoughts, give ideas, give suggestions, coach. Sometimes it's coaching, sometimes it's mentoring, sometimes it's just friggin' outright meddling, saying things, saying the truth. Yes, I know you'll say the truth. I don't think that's a debate. No way. Not in any way, shape, or form. Doug, good afternoon to you. So it's not a matter of telling the truth. It's a matter of telling the I didn't know what I didn't know kind of thing and just missing out some details. So how do you do that? Research everything fully, have a script in front of you all the time? It's very hard to do that. How do you do that? Depends what your role is. Now, if you're only talking about you, for you, and it's just you, and every comment you make is about what you are doing, what you are responsible for, what your area of expertise is, I think it's one thing. But it's a little bit more challenging when you're then, it's a little bit more challenging if you're involved in various things and trying to share the benefits, the ideas, the activities of various things, and you're not the one that's doing everything. But how the heck can you do everything? You can't. Situation. I'm gonna try to be as specific as I can, but it's not something I can really share, either. Which goes into this whole thing about speaking on behalf of other people and to do other things and to do other things the way that you would do them. But it's not your project. It's not your activity. It's not your role. Gosh, running into like all of those things this week. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting week. Maybe you could call it wake up call week. As that goes. Maybe it really is just wake up call week on that. So how do you do that? Can you actually get all the information about everything if it's not your project, if you're not the lead person on it? No, I don't think you really can because you never know what situation comes up. Can you, should you speak on behalf of somebody else? No, shouldn't really be doing that unless you really know. So being prepared is really important on this on this activity. Being really, really prepared on this activity. Obviously, I don't have anything prepared for this, and I normally don't, which is basically where this whole thing is kind of coming from too. So if I do this and I don't prepare this, but the only person I'm speaking about is me and nobody else, and it's just my thoughts, what you should do, marketing, how you should gain confidence, the excitement of doing things for the very first time, what it's like to, I don't know, stick that stuff back up there that's reflective of you. No, stick stuff back there that's reflective of me because I put it there. That's one thing. But what if you did? Let's just use the background over here since we're on that topic. Who knows where this whole thing is going? But that, the flowers, this little Toastmaster thing there, the Toastmaster thing there, the Crohn's and colitis stuff over there. I put it there. It's a reflection of me. That's all well and good. Doug, if somebody else decided to put it there and they don't ask me, or they just assume, is that good or bad? Good intentions. You only work with, I know I only work with folks that have got at least good intentions, and my intentions are good. So it's not that it's being disrespectful or anything like that, but it may not be exactly the story and the way it is preferred to be told. Boy, I've never done this where I've had to watch what I say so much. Crazy. The way that it's preferred to be told. Now, getting into the mindset of the person that you're representing is one thing. If you're really working very, very closely with them, it's all good. But, sometimes we still miss, and you got to know that whomever it is that's working with you on that one, not that you have to know, you should know, or that person that is trying to act in your best interest, trying to represent you, I should be very clear that they really are trying to help, not hinder, but help. And just kind of understand that, hey, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Just drop it, not let it just ramble on back and forth in that one. So this kind of thing. So my putting this stuff there, do I have the right to put these things behind me? Yeah, I do. They're mine. They were given to me. It's not like I got something someplace and just put it up over here. If I put something back there, I put a tennis racket back there. Let's use that stupid example. I put a tennis racket back there. Can I do that? Sure. It's my room. I have a tennis racket. I can put a tennis racket over there. What am I doing? Am I breaking anybody's rule by doing that? Absolutely not. But I don't play tennis. I think the last time I touched a tennis racket was probably 30 years ago. Could have been 40 years ago. I don't have a tennis racket. So that's not a good reflection of me. Now, Doug, since you're sitting over there in the comment land there, so let's assume Doug did that. Doug put a tennis racket back there. Doug's idea of me putting a tennis racket back there shows that, hey, I enjoy sports outside, stuff like that. And, it's nice, that kind of thing. It's a good, wholesome kind of sport. It's like, that's fine. I think the attitude there is fine. It's all good, but not me. So it's not me. So how do we have that conversation? Pretty much open up. That's how you do it. But that's where it is. So sometimes we can do things that are fine, that are within the rules and regulations and all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's not proper. It's just not proper because it needs to be a reflection of. And maybe this is a branding conversation. It's not a branding conversation because it's the people that we're working with conversation. That's it. That kind of thing. And maybe Doug thinks I should be. Oh, did you really? Doug used to play. There we go, Doug. We'll put that comment up over there. And if those you don't know, Doug is in a wheelchair. He's just in a wheelchair, permanently in a wheelchair. So I just picked tennis out of the blue there by chance. And that with Doug, I haven't played tennis in forever. So Doug used to play tennis in wheelchair tennis. I'm not surprised, man. I'm just not surprised. You ever do one of these podcasts, you should have so many things in your backdrop because it just shows, in my opinion, it just shows you how diverse Doug is. Tennis, what was it? Involved with the baseball, the sculling, right? Is that the ice thing? Shuffleboard on ice? Not that. No, sculling is rowing. That's not it. I forget what that's called, but maybe you'll put it up over there. But that kind of thing. So that's it. I don't do that. I should have a whole. I've wanted to put coffee mugs back over there. Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee, but then also reflective of places I've been. to get out, travel, do that stuff. Traveling doesn't even mean going to far off places. I mean, in fact, I just joined a group about Long Island history. It's like I'm finding it fascinating what's going on there. I can even bring it back to the automotive stuff. Just because when I got involved in that, now all of a sudden I'm seeing so many other things. It's like I didn't know. I mean, I had no idea. And there's a post I'm going to put up a little bit later too, about this. So I mentioned about the cars, right? You go out to the cars, you see the cars, the car shows. Many of the car shows. Long Island Needs a Drag Strip has a car show every Tuesday. Goes until I think October or so. Oh, I don't know factually, so I shouldn't say. It goes throughout the season. That's a nice way of putting it. When does the season end? Don't ask me. Go to the website. Long Island Needs a Drag Strip. As that goes. But here's what I didn't know. Well, first, I didn't know there were so many car shows on Long Island, so I started looking into that. Okay, good. I go there. I see the cars. What kind of cars they have there? They have cars that go back to the probably 20s, if not earlier. It might even been earlier. And curling, that's it. Curling. Yeah, Doug, you can do a podcast. I mean, one of these days we'll set you up for that. And next time we get together, we can easily do it. And actually, I'm using StreamYard. We got a green room now so you can use a green room, which is kind of cool. Stay focused. So I go to the car shows. Who knew there was so many car shows? Didn't know until I got involved. Now we can talk about, there's so many car shows. Can't tell you how many car shows there are. I can tell you there are quite a few of them. Go on Google, go to Facebook, you look up car show meets, and a bunch of different opportunities come up. Get there, learn that the cars span 100 years. It's now 2022. What's the earliest car I saw there? It was something in the teens or the 20s. That's 100 years. Give or take. That's there. Keep going, learning and doing and seeing. You talk about travel. Let's travel back in time. You don't even have to travel, right? Just travel back in time. So I'm on one of the new Facebook group, not new to me, Facebook group, Long Island History, because I'm looking at the historical location of Hamilton and the historical aspect of car racing, and how much that's impacted, either how much car racing has impacted the aerospace industry, or maybe how much aerospace has impacted the car industry, auto racing. But I see there's a photo up over there of in Riverhead, by the way, of racing by kids, and they're all being pushed in these cars, and that kind of thing. Toy cars that's being pushed. It's like, okay, hey, so kids have been racing now for over 100 years. Wow, what a tagline that is. And then you got the junior dragsters out here, that are currently out there doing their thing. So traveling and learning and doing it's just like so important. So what could I put behind me? A whole bunch of different things that are travel related. Those coffee mugs, the different locations, stuff like that. Totally appropriate. Totally appropriate. Suggestions, though, that you give other people, they really need to be appropriate. And if they're not, and they're well-intentioned, all good, and they just back off and go on to something else. So, as you know, I like to share different events that come up that I think are beneficial to this, friends, family, the business community, those that are on Long Island, certainly the career world that are here. It's so important. This topic came up the other day too. It's so important that our younger generation, call it high schoolers, college grads, folks that are even in college, currently, see the opportunities here on Long Island. So I'm affiliated with a couple of other folks, that are the conduit. No, I would say I'm more. I would go in the conduit category. But those that really know, like the HIA, that are really working directly with the manufacturers, if not the manufacturers directly. Those that are in the recruitment business, those that are doing the internships, that are either offering internships or coordinating internships. And there's quite a few people, on that side of things. So what's the takeaway here with this whole week? One is that you, when talking about things, know as much as you can and know when to not say. I attended another one of these Zoom calls that the NHRA sponsored, the National Hot Rod Association sponsored. Again, I'm still doing the announcing, for these races out here, having a great time doing that. And I know that there are certain things I don't know. And then there's the learning curve that's still going along with the whole thing. So it's a matter of giving specific information only when that specific information is known. And that's where we're changing things up a little bit in what I'm doing. Instead of going out there, it's like, yeah, my name's Brian, I'm having a great time, da 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 da, and delivering my message and talking about the cars as much as I possibly can with the info sheets that I'm given. But really making an effort, and this was what the NHRA said, is to really make an effort to get to know it and know it from the driver's perspective, but speak to the audience in the audience's language, where it's understandable to the audience. Got to know your audience. Who are the people in the audience over here? What I found out last week is just about everybody I spoke to had some family member that was out there racing. So if they have a family member out there racing, do they really care about the details of the car? No, probably not. I shouldn't use the word care. They do care, but to sit there and explain who's driving a 6-cylinder, who's got an 8-cylinder, who's using whatever, something special, and the car, stuff like that, don't know. Spend some time in the tech area. Going to do that again. Learn a little bit more about the tech. This way, kind of rattle off, some of these things about many of the cars. But more importantly, is to know the stories of the drivers, not make up the stories of the drivers, but know the stories of some of these drivers. And that's why I've been in the tech area. A couple of things happen. One is it's a very relaxed area. The tech guys are doing the tech thing, and the car owner is just letting them do their thing, explaining what needs to be explained and staying out of the way. So it gives me a chance to say hi, take a photo, that kind of thing. And then when I meet up with them later on in the either in the staging lanes when they're waiting for to take another run, or in their pit area after the tech area, they go over to their own pit area, where they basically wait, because you're there. If they're getting there early, they're there for a few hours waiting for the racing to actually begin, because the tech folks need a certain amount of time to get through all of the cars. So that's why you have a big gap between the cars getting there, going through tech, and then waiting for the racing to come. Spectators get there a little bit after the gates open for the drivers, that kind of stuff. Also gives you a chance for the food trucks to get set up. Gotta love those food trucks getting set up. Changes each and every time. So I can't tell you who's going to be there each and every day until we're there each and every day. Can't even tell you the driver's going to be there each and every day until drivers are there each and every day. But getting to know those stories a little bit more this way, I'm not telling my story. And therein lays the point of this whole thing, right? I shouldn't be telling Doug's story. I shouldn't be telling Karen's story. Thanks for joining us. I shouldn't be telling your stories out there too. Unless, of course, you're Errol and you just want me to talk about that little car of yours. Then he's perfectly fine with it. But he's perfectly fine with it. So we know that. We know that. And I know all the little details of that car, but I do know he loves showing that car off. That's good. I may not know the details of everything, but I know talking about it, depending if I'm clear and that person's clear as to what to say and not say, all well and good. And that's where it's going to come down to, with the cars out there, with other projects, with different groups, with things like that. Because there's so many events, so many things, so many different ways for us to advance through opportunities, and a multitude of opportunities. Can't know all the details of everything across the board, but what you can know, and what probably is the most important thing to know, is to know one's place. Know one's place. Look, Doug, you came in here, carte blanche, you could set this thing up any which way, and I tell you, you could do anything you want to do. That's one thing. Karen, same kind of thing. I think you could do anything you want to do about what it is. I'm going to accept it. Well, there you go. That's a little different than, hey, what do you think? Definitely a little different. Definitely a little different. So understand whose story you're telling. You're talking about something or you're talking for something. All right. So therein lies the difference with these cars. I want to talk about the cars. I want to talk about the drivers. But when it comes to the details of their story, let them tell their story. Obviously, they're going to be behind the wheel of the car, not going to be with me unless we could actually get some interviews in. I see about doing that because again, it's not my event. So we can speak to them. Maybe we see if we can kind of coordinate that a little bit, And when the tech folks are done, maybe they're going to chat with them about the importance of checking seat belts and expiration dates on seat belts, expiration dates on helmets, making sure the helmet has not been in some sort of an incident beforehand. Springs, there are two springs. They have to have two springs on a carburetor. Any idea why? Well, simply put, just in case one pops off. That kind of thing. Battery switch, battery cutoff, all of us. I didn't know. Some of the whys, they could certainly explain. I could say, hey, there's a battery cutoff switch in these cars. And they could explain why much better than I can explain. And there's the difference about speaking about something and then speaking for something. So find that, find that balance. Know it, know it, know it going into the whole thing there to make that work. All right. So my respect, in this whole thing, besides going into the stuff I do on the weekend a little bit clearer as to what to do there, but certainly about talking about other events and things like that. Really know the facts and then talk about it that way. Opinions, certainly going to share my opinion about something. Again, within reason. That, how somebody approaches how they operate within their project, that may be something they want to do and do behind the scenes, and that needs to be respected. So that stuff is fine. I mean, I feel like what I do and how I approach something a little bit more open book. But hey, that's me. That's just the way I've been approaching things. So I'm sharing with you the fact that for the weekend activities with the racing stuff, I'm attending the NHRA conference calls when they take place, doing a lot of listening, a little bit of talking, but I probably shouldn't have even done that. I was just looking at it. I just wanted to explain why I was there and to get their opinions on that. And it was actually very beneficial. Yeah. And maybe not my talking, but my listening, certainly was, in that respect. And then approaching the stuff on the weekends, in a certain way where I'm almost more of a reporter than a commentator. I'm reporting how the history of a car, stuff like that, that kind of stuff. And it was, quite a few of those stories. So we're going to work through that as much as we possibly can. And it comes to even this thing too. It's like, all right, what's the big eye opener here? The aha moment, with this whole week. I think the aha moment with this whole week is to go back and get the guest back on again and get serious about that. I think I've been talking about that now since November of last year. 6 months, even more than that. And yet, didn't do it. Is it easier? Yeah, you know what? Honestly, it is a lot easier not having guests. This way I just talk and turn the thing on at 12:57, and away we go. What are we talking about? Talking about stuff that's top of mind. Maybe even changing the name of this thing around a little bit. Maybe not. But still top of mind. But having the guests on. And the guests, those desks that we have on, they're going to be the information. They're going to be the ones explaining what it is they do, why they do it, what the takeaway is on that. Maybe what the takeaway is on some of the things that they do that they just picked up on something they just never expected. It should be good. I think that should be a whole lot of fun. I think it'd be probably a little bit more interesting for one. The other side of it is that it would definitely be much more informative as that goes. Yeah, there we go. It'll be more informative as that goes too. For me too. Because look, I've had guests on. I did a blog talk radio show for 10 years. 10 years. Had a guest on every week. I went and did it on a weekly basis. Many of these people I never met. never met before. Saw him on LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that. I was like, hey, sounds like you got an interesting story. I'd love to have you come on, and do that. I didn't do a big process of interviewing them, that pre-interview, anything like that. Just wanted to have that introductory phone call with them, but just do it on air, do with the blog talk thing. I found that to be, interesting. Helped me out quite a bit in my interviewing skills with some of the other things that I've done, being able to speak top of mind, off the cuff, improv, as that goes. But doing this thing alone, although it's a little bit easier, and for me and Doug, I see that you find it easy to talk to people, that just talk alone. Yeah, I I think you make a good point. Because look, once the show gets going, to interview somebody for a half hour and share their story and ask some questions, they're talking for most of it. I shouldn't be talking. If I'm the host and I'm interviewing them, they should be talking rough numbers about two-thirds of the time. I can't ask a 10-minute question and expect them to respond back in a minute. That's a little unfair. 1 minute question, let them respond longer. You know what? That's all that stuff is good. My longest one was one person I interviewed. I asked her one question. She went on for 12 minutes. 12 minutes. I tell you, that was uh, that was an interesting one. It was fine. That was Carol Baldwin. She's okay. It was okay her doing that stuff. It's funny as could be. Other folks, you get one word answers from. So no matter what, still is a way for me to continue to improve my interviewing skills. So in that respect, internally, that's good, and I do share. I'll share that with you. The other side of it too, I think it'll be a little bit more exciting on your side to to hear from people. Maybe I can do it over the weekend, maybe not. Can I do it here? Absolutely. Effort, Doug. The effort would be in preparation for it, not actually, and that would be the hard part, not the actual, doing things. And it's another thing that came up too, because I did a couple of replays this week. 27 minutes. We're going to end this one. I, did a couple of replays, this week. And one of the ones I ran across was the sheet on how to send out or what to ask if you are, geez, what to ask if you're sending out an intake form, to somebody. And so I saw that. I was like, I was going to play that. I didn't play it. And you want something? Probably should have played it. So maybe I'll go back in a couple replay for next week on that one, and we'll pick up from there and actually share with you what I'm putting together, because I never finished putting that together. The other side of it too, I got some photos from the weekend prior. Opening ceremony on Saturday was phenomenal. Opening ceremony on Sunday, just as good. The racing was just great. So the junior dragsters were out there. There were some young drivers that had been racing since they were teenagers that are now adults. There were some adults that never got behind the wheel of a car on a drag strip that did it for the very first time. They had a ball. There was a gentleman down there with a pickup truck that he just built, never raced it on a track. He was out there, doing the thing. There was also a couple of different types of racing that were taking place. People racing against each other, not to just drag race itself, but some other things. So I got to learn about that. This way I can talk somewhat intelligently about that whole thing. So there's so much to learn now. But let's get back to the history of autos, on the island, and travel and the rest of that stuff. If you were a time traveler and you went back 100 years on Long Island, you went back to the 1920s, you know what you would see here with car racing? The infancy of car racing. But you would also see them racing on wood. And not just on tracks that maybe were in Riverhead or Gallatin or anything like that, but in, the Bronx. Yeah, really, the Bronx, Coney Island, many other places on the island. Absolutely phenomenal. And those tracks didn't last for too long because it was wood and they didn't have the wood preservatives. So that went by the wayside. That was like the 1920s to the early 30s. Early 30s, Depression came along, challenging. And 40s, World War II, priorities changed quite a bit. And then it was not until after the war that racing unbelievably took off here in so many different aspects of it. But the first races, actually, I think the first races in the country began here. And it's at the Vanderbilt Cup races, Vanderbilt Motor Parkway, Vanderbilt. And that car is around. That won the 1909, 1910 races. Raced in the first Indianapolis 500. The Brickyard. Why is it Brickyard? Because they paved it with bricks. That kind of thing. Phenomenal stuff. That car's going to be at the Hill Climb in Port Jefferson. Another historic location. They used to race cars there in Port Jefferson. And it was up the hill, over by Danfords, up that hill. They're going to be out there again. So many things to do. You should be a part of that. And it's not just cars. It's what it leads to and how it's tied in with everything else that goes along. You'll hear from some experts in that area. I am not, but damn it, I'm excited about telling that story or being able to facilitate telling that story. That is what's on the top of my mind. Hey, again, Doug, Karen, thanks for joining me or chatting with each other as that goes. We will on the Facebook page. I'll put up the links to everything. Instead of racing this weekend, it's go to Racetrack Not Street. That's the end of August for that. Then we get into September through October. That Portrait Hill Climb is in September. October is going to bring us back to all the different trade shows. Again, the Melville Change Trade Show, maybe a few others. Also a lot of things going on. Definitely a lot of things going on. And I look forward to introducing you to those people so that they can tell their story. I'll just tell you why you should be listening to their story. I remember, speak well, speak often, live inspired, know your place. When you do that, you will be inspiring other people to do exactly the same things you. And that's to keep moving forward, regardless whatever little obstacles running your way. Keep moving forward. You'll help other people do exactly the same thing. All right, ready? Let's put the music on, folks. Brand it is. Play on.